First contact revealed. The massive view screens in the grand chamber of the Galactic Council flickered to life, displaying an unexpected transmission. The 700 representatives of the Council's 83-member species fell silent as the face of a human appeared before them. Elder Thorak, the Council's most senior member, leaned forward on his hovering platform. The ancient Phoraxian's translucent skin pulsed with surprise, his 4 eyes widening at the sight. For over 3 centuries, the Council had sent careful messages toward the small blue planet in what humans called the solar system. They had observed, waited, and wondered if their communications were even being received. "Play it again," Thorak commanded, his voice resonating through the chamber. The quantum transmission repeated, "Greetings, Galactic Council. We received your messages. We were never ignoring you. We were preparing." The chamber erupted in chatter. Some representatives clicked nervously. Others hummed in delight or confusion. The humans had finally responded, but not with the expected awe or gratitude. Instead, their message carried an unsettling confidence. "What could they possibly be preparing for?" asked Representative Mailer, her crystalline form shimmering with concern. "We offered friendship, not challenge." Thorak raised a limb for silence. "We have observed them for centuries. They are unlike us. They fight among themselves, then unite. They build weapons before bridges." He paused, considering. "And yet, they create beauty amid their chaos. They are fascinating." On Earth, Ambassador Elena Chen stood before the United Earth Council in Geneva. At 45, she was younger than most expected for humanity's first galactic representative, but her background made her ideal. With a diplomatic career spanning 4 continents and experience during the resource wars, Elena understood both conflict and peace. "The data package we've prepared includes our complete history," Elena explained to the assembled officials, "including our wars." President Matteo Rice frowned. "Is that wise? Revealing our violent past?" Elena looked around at the gathered leaders. "We can't hide who we are. Their observers have likely seen enough to know we're not like them. But they need to understand that our challenges shaped us. Our competitions drove our innovations. Our conflicts eventually taught us unity." She touched the screen before her, bringing up images of Earth's achievements. "We've cured diseases, reversed climate damage, and created sustainable fusion in the last century alone. Our progress outpaces any species they've encountered, according to the data they shared." She paused. "And that's precisely what worries me." "They'll fear us," said General Kimura, the oldest person in the room. "Yes," Elena agreed. "They might. But fear can become respect, given time and understanding." Back in the council chamber, the analysis of Earth's response continued. The Council's xenobiologists and cultural experts had been working nonstop since the message arrived. "Their message is telling," explained Zura, the Council's lead anthropologist. "Most emerging species respond with excitement or religious awe. The humans instead tell us they've been preparing. Their history shows a pattern. They prepare for the worst while hoping for the best." Elder Thorak floated closer to the holographic display of Earth. "What puzzles me is why they waited so long to respond. Our scans show they've had the capability to detect our signals for at least a century." "That's what concerns us," Zura replied. "They wanted to respond from a position of strength, not vulnerability. They've been developing quantum communication, warp technology, and defensive systems that match or exceed some of our own, all while remaining silent." On Earth, Elena stood alone on the observation deck of the International Space Center, watching as engineers prepared the Starship Concordia for its historic journey. The sleek vessel represented humanity's greatest achievement, built not by one nation, but by a united Earth that had learned, the hard way, that cooperation was necessary for survival. Her comm unit buzzed. "Ambassador Chen, we've received another transmission from the Council. They're sending coordinates for the first meeting." Elena felt the weight of responsibility settle deeper on her shoulders. Her team had been selected carefully. Scientists, diplomats, and yes, military personnel. The Council might find their presence alarming, but humanity wasn't naive. The universe was vast and likely held dangers the peaceful Council species had never faced. Confirm receipt and inform the crew. We launch in 3 days, she replied. That night, Elena visited her grandmother's apartment in Shanghai. The old woman, now nearing 95, had lived through the resource wars and helped rebuild afterward. Are you afraid? Her grandmother asked as they sat drinking tea on the balcony overlooking the city. I would be foolish not to be, Elena admitted. We're meeting beings who evolved differently from us. Their societies developed through cooperation rather than competition. The old woman nodded. They might see us as barbarians, or as children who grew up too quickly. Either way, they'll be cautious, Elena added. As should we be. Remember the old saying, her grandmother warned. The tiger that shows its claws need not always strike. Be strong enough to stand firm, but wise enough to find common ground. The day of departure arrived with global celebrations. The Concordia crew of 30 represented Earth's diversity, the best minds from every continent. Dr. Marcus Okafor, the quantum physics expert who had decoded the Council's communication method, stood beside Elena as they prepared to board. Do you think they'll accept us? He asked quietly. Elena considered the question. Eventually. But first, they'll need to understand us. As the Concordia lifted from Earth, billions watched. The ship carried not just people but humanity's hopes and fears. Elena felt both as the blue planet shrank behind them. They were heading toward beings who had achieved peace across multiple star systems, while humans had only recently stopped fighting among themselves. In her quarters, Elena reviewed the Council's latest message once more. Behind the diplomatic language, she sensed their unease. They had expected a young species grateful for recognition. Instead, they found humans, resilient, resourceful, and ready. We were preparing, she repeated softly to herself. Not for war, though the Council might fear this. Humanity had been preparing to meet the universe on equal terms, to offer strength alongside friendship. The journey would take 2 weeks using Earth's newly developed warp technology. 2 weeks to plan how to introduce a species that had evolved through struggle to a community that knew mainly peace. Elena closed her eyes, thinking of her grandmother's words. The path ahead would require wisdom as much as courage. Humanity was finally stepping onto the galactic stage, not as supplicants, but as partners. Whether the Council was ready for them remained to be seen. The Concordia emerged from warp with a soft flash that lit up the sensors across Harmony Station. Council technicians scrambled to analyze the human vessel's arrival, shocked by the absence of the expected radiation signature and spatial distortion that accompanied all known forms of faster-than-light travel. Impossible, muttered Chief Scientist Vex as he studied the readings. They're using gravity manipulation to fold space, not punch through it. He turned to High Speaker Tela, his 6-fingered hands trembling slightly. We theorized this method centuries ago, but abandoned it as too energy-intensive. Tela, her iridescent scales reflecting the soft blue lights of the command center, watched the human ship approach. Unlike the bulbous designs favored by most Council races, the Concordia was sleek and angular, with solar arrays that resembled wings. How long have they had this technology? She asked quietly. Based on their transmissions, less than 20 years, Vex replied. They've compressed technological evolution that took us millennia into mere decades. On board the Concordia, Ambassador Elena Chen straightened her dark blue uniform and addressed her team one final time before docking. Remember, we are Earth's first impression, she said calmly. They've been watching us for centuries. But this is our first chance to speak directly. We are not here to intimidate, but neither will we appear weak. Dr. Marcus Okafor nodded. At 36, he had already revolutionized human understanding of quantum biology, making him the perfect bridge between human and alien science. The station's atmosphere contains trace elements toxic to most council species, he noted, reviewing his tablet. But nothing our systems can't filter for us. We won't need suits. The decision to enter the station without protective gear was deliberate. Humanity's remarkable adaptability, the result of evolving on a planet with wildly varying climates and conditions, was one of their greatest advantages. As the airlock cycled open, Alina led the 10-person delegation into Harmony Station. The circular chamber was designed to accommodate multiple species, with gravity set to a standard that most found comfortable. To the humans, it felt like walking at high elevation, not unpleasant, just different. The council welcoming party waited in a semicircle. 6 different species stood together, their physical forms wildly varied. Tella stepped forward, her movements fluid despite the obvious heaviness of her ceremonial robes. "Welcome to Harmony Station. Representatives of Earth," she said, her translator converting her musical language to clear English. "We have awaited this day for generations." Alina bowed slightly. "High Speaker Tella, we bring greetings from a united Earth. We thank you for your patience during our preparation period." A ripple of translator-delayed murmurs spread through the council delegation. Alina noticed their reactions to the humans' appearance, the fascination, the surprise at their lack of protective gear, and in some cases, what looked like apprehension. "You find our environment suitable?" asked a reptilian council member, scales shifting color in what Alina recognized as a sign of disbelief. "Quite comfortable," Marcus replied with a smile. "Humans evolved in diverse conditions. We adapt quickly." "So we have observed," Tella said carefully. "Please join us in the Grand Hall for the formal reception." The test of humanity. As they walked through the station's sweeping corridors, Alina noted the elegant efficiency of council design. Everything served multiple purposes, accommodating beings with different needs. Soft lights adapted to various visual sensitivities, and subtle changes in floor texture helped guide species with different sensory capabilities. In the Grand Hall, representatives from all 83 council species awaited them. Some floated in suspension fields, others stood on raised platforms, but all focused intently on the human delegation. "May I present Ambassador Alina Chen, Earth's appointed representative," Tella announced to the assembly. Alina stepped onto the central platform, feeling hundreds of alien eyes upon her. The data package she would present had been debated extensively back on Earth. Some had wanted to sanitize human history to hide the wars and atrocities. Alina had argued successfully against this approach. "Honored Council," she began, her voice steady. "For centuries, you have watched our development from afar. Today, we stand before you, offering friendship and cooperation." She activated the holographic display, showing Earth in all its blue beauty. "We bring our complete history, our achievements, and our failures. We have fought wars among ourselves. We have damaged our planet, and then healed it. We have divided by nation, race, and belief, only to ultimately unite." The display showed images of Earth's past conflicts, then its modern cities powered by fusion energy, its restored oceans, its space colonies. "We do not hide our struggles because they made us who we are today," Alina continued. "Through competition, we found innovation. Through conflict, we discovered the true value of peace." The council members watched silently. Some communicated among themselves through subtle gestures or technological means. Alina could feel the tension in the room, not hostility, but profound uncertainty. After the formal presentation came the diplomatic reception. Council members approached the humans cautiously, asking questions that revealed their deep curiosity, but also their concerns. "Your species achieved nuclear fusion just 2 centuries after discovering electricity," noted a crystalline being. "Such rapid development is unprecedented." Marcus engaged with the scientific contingent, explaining human breakthroughs while carefully gauging their reactions. He noticed how they seemed simultaneously impressed and unsettled by humanity's scientific methods. "You test theories through trial and error?" asked one council scientist, clearly disturbed. even with significant failure risks. Sometimes the fastest path to success requires accepting the possibility of failure, Marcus explained. It's fundamental to our scientific approach. As the reception continued, High Speaker Tella approached Alina privately, guiding her to a quiet alcove overlooking the stars. "Your presentation was most illuminating, Ambassador," she said. "I must speak frankly. Some on the Council are deeply concerned about our history of conflict." Alina asked. "Not exactly," Tella replied. "What concerns us is your rate of development. What took other species thousands of years to achieve, humans have accomplished in mere centuries. Your adaptability, your drive to overcome limitations, these qualities seem almost predatory," Alina suggested. Tella's expression changed subtly. "An apt term. You understand our concern. We developed quickly because we had to," Alina explained. "Our competition drove our innovation. Our challenges forced us to adapt or perish. And that is precisely what concerns us," Tella said softly. "Not what humanity has done, but what you might become." Alina looked out at the stars, understanding at last the true nature of the Council's unease. They didn't fear humans for their past wars or current capabilities. They feared humanity's potential, a species that evolved through struggle now entering a peaceful galactic community, bringing with them qualities the Council species had either never developed or had evolved beyond. "We come in peace, High Speaker," she said finally. "But we come as we are, humans, shaped by our history, ready to learn from yours." Tella nodded slowly. "The path ahead will not be simple, Ambassador Chen, but it begins today." 6 months later, the Earth Embassy on Lumina, the Council homeworld, stood out among the flowing organic structures that characterized the planet's architecture. While Council buildings curved and twisted like living things, the human embassy featured clean lines and practical corners, a visual reminder of humanity's different approach to the universe. Inside, Alina reviewed the latest Council restrictions with her team. Earth now held probationary membership status, an unprecedented category created specifically for humans. "They've denied our request to establish research outposts in the Orion sector," reported Raj, Alina's diplomatic aide. "And they've added quantum tunneling to the list of restricted technologies." Helena sighed. "Add it to the others. No weapons beyond our embassy security force. No expansion beyond Sol system without approval. No sharing of fusion containment methods." She looked around at her frustrated team. "Remember, we expected this. They fear our development speed. But how can we prove our value if they restrict everything we do?" asked Marcus, who had remained on Lumina as chief science liaison. "By respecting their rules while finding ways to help within them," Alina replied, though her patience was wearing thin. She understood the Council's caution. Humans had compressed millennia of development into centuries, but their restrictions were becoming excessive. Council observers had been assigned to all human operations, the sleek monitoring vessels shadowing Earth ships, their crews documenting everything. Humans called them babysitters, though never to their faces. Meanwhile, Captain Sarah Lindstrom commanded the exploration vessel Discovery at the edge of Council space. A veteran of Earth's Space Force, Sarah had been selected for her calm demeanor and diplomatic skills. Today, however, those skills were being tested. "Captain, we're receiving an automated distress signal," reported her communications officer. "It's coming from Vex's colony in the restricted Psychera sector." Sarah frowned. Analysis. Massive solar storm approaching the colony. Their shields won't hold against the radiation surge. Sarah studied the data. Vex's colony housed nearly 5,000 Council citizens, mostly researchers and their families. The radiation would reach lethal levels within hours. "The nearest Council defense fleet is 3 days away," her first officer reported. "The colony has 5 hours. She straightened in her chair. "Helm, set course for Vex's colony. Maximum speed." "Captain, we're prohibited from entering that sector," her first officer reminded her. I'm aware of the restrictions, Commander. Sarah's voice was calm but firm. Log my decision. This is my responsibility alone. The Discovery surged toward the colony, followed reluctantly by their Council observer vessel. Sarah opened a channel to the observer. We've detected a life-threatening emergency at Vexus Colony. We're moving to assist. The Council observer, a tall, willowy being named Pell, appeared on screen. Captain Lindstrom, I must formally remind you that entering restricted space violates your probationary status. Please await proper authorization. By the time authorization comes, the colony will be lost. Sarah replied. We have the technology to help. We can't stand by and watch thousands die. This is not your decision to make, Pell insisted. With respect, when lives are at stake, inaction is a decision too, Sarah said. We'll accept the consequences of our choice. As the Discovery approached Vexus Colony, the crew prepared. Earth's advanced shield technology, developed during the resource wars when solar radiation had threatened their own colonies, might save these people. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the colony, the communications officer reported. On screen, Sarah ordered. A reptilian face appeared, scales pale with fear. Human vessel, this is Administrator Ziv. The Council warned us you might be approaching. They've ordered us not to accept your assistance. Sarah leaned forward. Administrator, our sensors show the radiation will breach your shields in less than 3 hours. We can extend our protective field around your colony and evacuate the most vulnerable. Ziv hesitated. The Council has assured us help is coming. We both know it won't arrive in time, Sarah said gently. We're not asking permission to enter your space or access your technology. We're offering to save lives. The choice is yours. The Administrator's inner eyelids flickered rapidly, a sign of intense deliberation. Very well, Captain. We accept your assistance. For the next 12 hours, the Discovery's crew worked alongside the colonists. They extended their advanced shields around the settlement and evacuated the youngest, oldest, and most radiation vulnerable to the ship's protected areas. Human engineers reinforced the colony's power core, preventing a catastrophic meltdown that would have rendered the planet uninhabitable for centuries. As the solar storm reached its peak, the Discovery's shields held. Not a single life was lost. When it was over, Administrator Ziv approached Sarah on the colony's main concourse. The Council will arrive tomorrow. They will not be pleased with either of us. No, Sarah agreed. They won't. Why did you help us? Ziv asked. Knowing the consequences, Sarah looked around at the colony. Parents holding children, researchers safeguarding generations of work. Because we could. On Earth, we learned the hard way that when you have the power to help, failing to use it is its own kind of wrongdoing. 2 days later, Alina Chen stood before the full Galactic Council, preparing to address the Vexus incident. The Discovery had been impounded, Captain Lindstrom, and her crew confined to quarters on Harmony Station. Explain these actions, Elder Torak demanded. Your people willfully violated explicit restrictions. Elena nodded. They did, to save 5,000 lives. That was not their decision to make, Tella said, though her voice lacked conviction. With respect, High Speaker, Elena replied, humanity has learned that sometimes the rules must bend to preserve what the rules were created to protect. You restricted our movements out of fear of what we might do. Captain Lindstrom showed you what we will do when given the chance. A murmur spread through the chamber. You still don't understand, Sorak said wearily. Your species rushes in, solving problems with untested methods, taking risks, and saving lives. Alina interrupted. Administrator Ziv estimates that without our intervention, 60% of the colony would have perished before Council forces arrived. She stepped forward. You fear our development speed, our adaptability, our willingness to take risks. But these are the same qualities that allowed us to save your people when conventional methods would have failed. The Council chamber fell silent. Finally, a new voice spoke. Administrator Ziv himself, who had traveled to testify. I feared the humans too, he admitted to the assembly. Their decisiveness, their strange technology. But today I stand before you because of those very qualities. He looked at Alina. Perhaps what we fear in them is what we have lost in ourselves, the courage to act when action is needed. 3 days of deliberation followed. When the council reconvened, their decision surprised even Alina. The restrictions on human movement will be modified, Sorek announced. Your vessels may respond to distress calls anywhere in council space. Additionally, we propose a joint program. Human emergency response teams paired with council representatives. Alina could hardly believe what she was hearing. We still have concerns about your development pace, Tela added. But Administrator Ziv reminded us of something important. Diversity of approach strengthens us all. Perhaps humanity's unique evolution offers something our peaceful consensus does not. As Alina left the chamber, Tela stopped her privately. This partnership will not be easy, Ambassador. Our species think very differently. The best partnerships often do, Alina replied. Sometimes what we need most is not someone who thinks like us, but someone who thinks what we cannot. 6 months later, the Human Council Emergency Response Initiative had saved thousands more lives across 3 sectors. Human innovation combined with council patience proved remarkably effective. The Discovery, once impounded, now led a fleet of joint species vessels, their mission to protect rather than restrict. On board the station now renamed Concordia, after the Earth ship that had first visited, Alina stood with Tela, watching human and alien crews train together. They still make us nervous, Tela admitted. Your people's boldness, your willingness to challenge conventions. Alina smiled. And your people still frustrate us with your caution and deliberation. But perhaps that tension is exactly what makes this work. Indeed, Tela agreed. What we feared most about humanity may prove to be what we needed most after all. As they watched the mixed crews working together, Alina thought of her grandmother's words. The tiger had shown its claws, not to threaten, but to help. And in doing so, had found its place among the stars.